Well, pretty nice evening across Bryan College Station. And if you notice, it stepped outside, do see the clouds on the increase, and actually a few little sprinkles out there being reported at this time. This morning, though, we had a low temperature of 74 degrees, which was just above average. High today of 93, which was above average as well. And currently, temperatures here across the Brazos Valley, it's 82 degrees here in Bryan College Station, 82 Hearn as well, 80 Navasota. Brenham coming in at 82, 81 over in Caldwell, and also in Madisonville. So 80 degrees across the board here in the Brazos Valley. So pretty warm evening. Over at Easterwood Airport, yeah, showing that little raindrop there. We did have a few sprinkles out there. It's currently 82 degrees. We got 71% humidity and a dew point at 72. And pretty breezy winds south at 14 miles per hour. So it's going to be a breezy night tonight. Of course, the high pressure has been the dominating factor for our weather, really keeping the rain chances out of the forecast. But this high pressure currently situated over the northern Gulf of Mexico is going to weaken. And then we're looking off at this trough out in the western part of the nation. Is going to be swinging across the Midwest and eventually going to drag this front right here across Texas and going to be moving into the Brazos Valley mainly on Thursday. So that's where we're going to see an increase in our rain chances. Not looking for a big cool down with this system, but it will be a focus for precipitation mainly on Thursday, and you'll see our rain chances start to increase as we look ahead. As far as for tomorrow, we're looking for more clouds streaming in from the Gulf of Mexico. Some shower activity up in North Texas, and we'll have to watch that activity as we get on Thursday to see if we're going to get any boundaries or storms that try to approach the Brazos Valley. And we can see the model picking up on that as well. So we're going to put rain chances about 50%. But tomorrow, we wake up about 8 o'clock. It's going to be 77 degrees under mostly cloudy skies, 83 at noon, 87 at 5 p.m. And looking at the 7-day forecast, again, we got rain chances tomorrow at about 30%, but we're really going to ramp them up on Thursday, going to a 50% chance of rain, possibility for some thunderstorms, lows in the lower 70s, highs approaching 90 degrees. And then we're going to have that front come in, but it's really going to just wash out. And we're looking for a 40% chance of showers on Friday, and keeping the temperatures low 70s, highs near 90. And then next week, when we start the first week in June, looking for drier conditions and temperatures will be warming up.
Into the Brazos Valley. It is starting northwest of us. Is that right, Gene?
That's correct.
And heading towards us, a squall line of storm systems. I want to ask you exactly what we're expecting with this line of storms. Where is it now, and where is it headed?
Well, right now, it's just west of the I-35 corridor, moving east-southeast all the way down towards San Antonio. So we expect it to cross the area between about 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's progressing. It looks like it's actually moving a little bit quicker now. So
we talked about that. What we're seeing now from this storm, it looks like are more, and we'll talk to you guys too. What we're seeing now from this storm are more warnings coming out of it.
Right.
Is that right? As it progresses towards us, as it moves through places like Killeen and Temple, does that mean the storm is picking up in intensity and speed?
Well, when it started, if you notice at 6 o'clock, we looked at the radar and there wasn't much out there.
Yeah.
But in over about 2 hours, that form really started to line. Right at the beginning, when it was near Uvalde, Killeen, towards Lampasas line, there was no warnings issued. Now, we do have severe thunderstorm watches throughout the region, but just in the last 30 minutes, we had a tornado warning for Burnett and Williamson County, which is northwest of Austin. And then now we just had a Bell County near the Temple area with severe thunderstorm warnings. So but in the beginning, it looked pretty optimistic because we didn't have any warnings, but now we're starting to see the warnings come out.
I think the issue here too is the hail threat. Where are we in the hail threat?
Well, right there, if you get severe thunderstorm warnings, that's typically nickel-sized hail and above. So that's what we're looking at for there. We haven't had any reports yet, as of yet, of any extreme large hail like we saw in some of the previous weekend's storms, but that still is a potential as we move forward. The idea is that this system is going to be moving into a very warm and moist environment here across southeast Texas. If you notice, if you step outside right now, it's very muggy. And so it's going to have a lot of energy and instability to work with, especially in the northern counties of southeast Texas and northwest counties, which happens to be where the Brazos Valley is.
I'm going to move my microphone just to the side at which I can hear you when we're talking, so you keep telling me just kind of what's going on.
So we're just watching it progress to the east-southeast again. The timeline, we're looking between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. The main threats with this one, now this is not a situation like we had last weekend. What we were afraid of is last weekend we had these what we called discrete cells, which deformed ahead of the main complex, and these actually became supercells, and that's what generated the large tornado that hit Franklin. We're not seeing anything like that tonight. Today we had mostly cloudy skies across the area, so we didn't have the maximum heating. So the atmosphere we had what we call a cap over the atmosphere, and we weren't able to really bubble up any thunderstorm, just mainly light shower activity. And as you look at the radar currently, you can see just a few sprinkles out there, but that complex is marching east-southeast, about to approach the Austin area. And again, those warnings, and I'm going to click back here and kind of point out where those warnings were coming out at. So we did have a tornado warning, which is up here towards Burnett and Williamson County, which is just north around the Round Rock area. And now we're getting these warnings coming out over towards the Temple and Killeen area. Bell County is one with a severe thunderstorm warning. So those have just been happening in the last 30 minutes. Now the tornado warning's already expired over northwest of Austin, but you can see this storm is moving along with lots of cloud-to-ground lightning. So if anything, you'll definitely hear the noisy storm as it progresses east-southeast. Now the other threat with this is going to be the straight-line wind threat, looking potentially at 50 to 60 mile-an-hour winds as the squall line approaches the Brazos Valley. And it's really just a wait and see. We're going to have to continue to monitor and see if more warnings start coming out from this line as it progresses east and southeast. But again, not looking for a big tornado threat. Is if you can look ahead of the storm, not really seeing much activity at all like we saw this past Saturday, where we had these cells ahead of the storm which produced a tornado and very large hail. So it looks pretty good right now in that case. I think the tornado threat is minimized, even though there could still be a spin-up tornado along this line. Not looking for a large tornado impact, but the hail impact is there. Definitely the strong straight-line winds. And that's not to say that with when these winds are kicking out, they can begin to circulate and cause some damage as well. But nothing like the EF3 tornado that we saw hit Franklin. So
that's the question, Gene. We're getting questions here to our email and a little bit on this Facebook Live, just about, I think there are concerns because of how significant last weekend was,
right.
That this squall line carries carries the same kind of danger to it. What is the difference between what this is compared to what last weekend was in terms of what these events looked like?
Well, again, last week we saw a main complex of storms moving in similar to this, but ahead of it, we had individual thunderstorms developing ahead of the storm. And what happens is these storms will start to rotate, and we call them supercells. And when that happens, not always, but those are the storms that can generate the larger tornadoes and also dump the very large hail. So as you can see on the radar right now, we don't have any activity ahead of this line, so the main threat is going to be the actual squall line itself as it moves through. But that's not to minimize the wind threat with this. Of course, lightning and the hail threat as well.
Yeah, and hail looks, would explain to us kind of where hail appears in a storm like this. Is it out in front of it? Is it behind it? Because we know tornadoes come out in front of systems like this. Where does hail come into this?
Usually on the back side is where you'll get the hail threat. And really what determines the size of the hail is how strong the updrafts within the storms are. So in those supercells that I was mentioning, like we had last weekend, when you have a lot of updrafts and downdrafts, that basically hail goes up, it freezes, or the rain freezes, and it falls back down. Updraft takes it back up, it refreezes, so it's an up and down motion in the storm cloud. And once it becomes heavy enough and can overcome that updraft, that's when it falls to the ground as hail. So the more violent the storm, the more violent the updrafts, that's when you get the larger hail.
Can we look into this system now and just see kind of what it looks like as it comes toward the Brazos Valley? Because I think we're getting another question in email about what the storm exactly kind of looks like as it nears here. People are concerned about its size and scope on its way to the Brazos Valley. Now, that doesn't obviously mean what it's going to look like when it gets here.
Right.
But explain what these kind of large bolt strikes and known lightning locations are as they come towards us. Looks like through Cameron and Austin and
Right.
Smithville.
So we're approaching, so earlier we were talking about Lampasas in that area. Now approaching the Austin area. Now remove the lightning indicator so you can kind of see what the kind of the structure of the squall line. And we do see some of these cells like this one near Uvalde, which looks to be pretty intense. But this is kind of a broken line, so that's kind of encouraging. And we're just going to have to continue how it is. What I'm concerned about as it moves through the, as this system moves through and it taps into this warm Gulf moisture, we could see some intensification with the line. I was reading from the National Weather Service out of Houston, Galveston, which covers here across the Brazos Valley. And it looks like they actually might see some weakening once it gets here, but we still got some time to see what that happens.
Is that right? So the National Weather Service is predicting that there is a potential for weakening
Right.
as it comes through where? What regions?
Well, once it gets past us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The dynamics right now here across, what the models have been showing us here across the northern tier, let me get back to the point here. The northern tier counties of Southeast Texas, which is where the Brazos Valley is located, the dynamics up here have been better, just like they were the past 2 weekends. Not so much towards the coast. So that means that we still have to be aware what this line does as it moves east.
And Gene, we're getting a question from Anna Schmidt. She's asking, when will this storm hit College Station? Can you just update everyone on that timeline that we discussed earlier?
So right now we're looking approximately a little over 100 miles. We're thinking about between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning is the best estimate of when we can start seeing the impacts.
1 and 2 o'clock in the morning is when
Right.
the storm comes through. And let's reset. What comes out in front of these storms? Because there are some people who are just joining us. That's tornadoes that come out in front of a system like this. So the system hits at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. The
Right.
dangerous portions that come in front of it hit when?
Well, that's then the front. The first thing you'll notice is the straight line winds.
Okay.
And what we call those are like what we call outflow boundaries, because they're pushing out air ahead of the system.
The KAGS weather camera is brought to you by Lone Star Roof Systems. No jingles, just roofs.
Well, taking a look at the KAGS weather cam right now, pointing over towards the Texas A&M campus. We do have a lot of cloudiness out there, not quite overcast skies, but mostly cloudy conditions here across Bryan College Station. As we look at our temperatures this morning, we had a low of around 63 degrees. Our high today was 81, which is just above average, and of course our rainfall slightly above average as well. Looking at current temperatures over at Easterwood Airport, it's currently 70 degrees, so we do got some moonlight out there. 76% humidity and southeast winds around 8 miles per hour, so it is getting a little muggy, and those southeast winds is bringing in more moisture across the area. As we look at temperatures across the rest of Brazos Valley, it's 70 degrees over in Madisonville, 69 Navasota, 70 Hearn, and 70 as well in Brenham. So you can tell that the temperatures are still pretty mild for this time of the evening. As we look at the satellite and radar, of course, we talked about that thunderstorm activity up in the Panhandle around the Lubbock area. Actually did have a severe thunderstorm watches over there. The next system that we're going to be watching is this upper level low, which is currently over California. And as that sweeps into Texas on Wednesday, that's going to really increase our rain chances. But between now and then, we're just going to have some upper level disturbances moving across the area tomorrow. So we're going to get about 20% chance of rain for Tuesday, but you'll see those rain chances really go up as we get into Wednesday. For tomorrow, though, we're going to end tonight, just more clouds across the area, moving southwest to northeast. And again, as we look into the model forecast for tomorrow, we'll start seeing some rain showers popping up here on the forecast. About 20% for that. And then the rain chances really come up on Wednesday to about 60% Wednesday during the day, and then 80% on Wednesday night. Now, we are going to have to monitor this for the potential of some strong and severe thunderstorms. We'll get a better idea on that tomorrow as we look at this model data comes out. For the rest of tonight, or early in the morning, we're looking for a temperature of 68 degrees under mostly cloudy skies, 20% chance of showers, 74 at noon, and 77 right around sunset. And again, that's 60% chance of rain on Wednesday with a low of 64, high of 77. And then if we get into Thursday, we're going to keep rain chances in the morning, low of 62, 76. And then we got another setup for another beautiful weekend with lots of sunshine, lows in the 60s, highs in the lower 80s. And then we'll bring some clouds back on Monday, but it's definitely going to be nice for the weekend once again. We just got to get through Wednesday.
KAGS weather is brought to you by Malik Heating and Air. Rely on Malik to keep you comfortable as the seasons change. Feel the difference.
So not so bad. A
Not
little
too
bit
bad.
of rain on Wednesday, but it'll be all right, I'm sure. We'll get
We'll
through
get through
it.
it. We'll get through it.
And
At
of
least another nice weekend like we had this past one.
Exactly. I'm excited for that. Go out and fly your kite. Maybe enjoy the last of those blue bonnets. I know Bob, before he